Hi, this is Gary Collins. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Our Magazine. On today's show, we'll visit with actor Kurt Russell on location while shooting his new film, The Winter People. How do you learn to cope if your spouse has had a heart attack? We'll learn from two wives with good advice for heartmates. We'll find out why AIDS experts are up in arms over a recent claim that there's no way of getting AIDS through ordinary sexual intercourse. And next week marks the Chinese New Year. And if you've ever celebrated, you'll want to help us welcome in the new year of the, I should say, the Year of the Dragon with today's co-host, who played the beautiful Empress in the extraordinary movie, The Last Emperor, Miss Joan Chan. Joan? I'll be right back. Hi, Joan and I are talking about growing up in Shanghai, China, and I was trying to get a comparison between Shanghai and Hong Kong. Let me tell the folks a little bit about you, all right? She grew up in China, decided to move here, and I guess the question is, did you, prior to coming here in '81, did you have any preconceptions or ideas about how Asians were portrayed in films, U.S. films?
No, I don't. I've never seen a Chinese face in any American films that I saw over in China. You know, in China, we liked old movies like Waterloo Bridge, Sound of Music, and things. I didn't know that Asians would be in movies. No.
Isn't that funny? I wonder if that was by design. We'll find out in a minute, because joining us to discuss the image of Asians in film and television is entertainment commentator Eric Burns. Eric, nice to have you back with us.
Good to be here, Gary. Thank you.
Do you think that was by design, that certainly there were films with Asians in them, but by design they were not shown in China?
You know, I don't know, but it seems like a reasonable guess because of the way Hollywood portrayed Asians. You would think that Asians would be so sensitive. These portrayals were very often negative and probably wouldn't want them to be seen in Asian countries.
All right, let's go back, and if we can, early on in the film business, let's talk about the depiction of Asians.
Well, you know, some people think that the depiction of Asians in a negative sense goes back no further than World War II, because most of us know nothing more, particularly with the Japanese, in terms of discrimination than that they were discriminated against in World War II, the internment camps. In fact, media discrimination against Asians goes back as far as the appearance of Asians in this country. Since Asians, by and large, came to California, by the time the movie industry, the television industry started, they started in communities where this prejudice was very well entrenched already. So it's only logical that it be there.
And certainly World War II didn't help with the Richard Liu and Benson Fong.
You know what's interesting about the stereotyping of
chasing
Asians?
the pilots through the skies.
Yeah, if you think of how blacks have been portrayed negatively, or Poles or Italians, any other group that has a stereotype, there is one stereotype. You think of a negative depiction of a black and one thought comes to your mind. Asians have been portrayed in three ways, it seems to me, and they're all opposed to one another. Initially, they were houseboys and gardeners, very servile, submissive. World War II comes along, suddenly the opposite extreme. They are the meanest, most villainous creatures on this planet. Then there is what we might call the tea house of the August moon phase. After World War II, suddenly Asians in movies like that, in Sayonara, were these mystical, exotic creatures. So I think maybe it's a kind of perverse compliment to the fact that Asians cannot be easily stereotyped, that when we try to stereotype you, we can't make up our minds.
What about the film that came out in '85 that caused such a furor? Was it the Year of the Dragon?
Year of the Dragon.
Yeah. What was that about?
It seems to me, Joan, and I know John Lone, who was one of the stars of that movie, is a good friend of yours.
I think you were up for that film, weren't you? You didn't get it.
I was glad I didn't.
Yes, right.
Is it because of the controversy that came about that you were glad you didn't get it?
Yeah.
Did you see the film?
Yes.
Because I'd be curious to know if you felt, I guess the criticism was based mainly on the fact that the Asian underworld was so graphically and disgustingly portrayed. What were your reactions to that portrayal?
No, I couldn't relate to the Asians in that film, so I didn't really feel anything for it. I mean, I wasn't furious, like most of the Asian communities. But then I felt it was too simple and symbolic and one-sided. I mean, Asians are human beings. I mean, they're more complicated than what they have portrayed in the film.
In other words, if that, you would have been upset if it had been a little more realistic portrayal, but it was so alien to your feelings about your people that...
Yeah, well, certainly the Italians were not particularly thrilled with Godfather 1 and 2, yet I suppose in a way there was a particular pride, if you do talk to Italians. There's something not mystical, but something attractive about that whole honor system and so forth.
Not to Henrietta Iacovani, my grandmother, who would...
All right, but...
is still upset about The Godfather 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, but what is it about film that will take a situation based on truth, put it on film, and it seems to sort of gain more and more credibility the longer it's up on the screen, even though it depicts something perhaps that is truthful and does exist.
But what it depicts is a single truth. I mean, perhaps what was in Year of the Dragon was true. I don't know about the Asian underworld. Certainly I know something about the Italian underworld, and what was in The Godfather was true, except it was one truth. And when you're dealing with a nationality, there isn't one truth. There are, as Joan said, there are many truths. And the problem is that in any one movie, you're dealing with just one side.
So it should be more balanced, is what you're saying, if they're going to portray...
Well, maybe not in any one movie. Maybe one movie doesn't have a responsibility to do that. But certainly the whole industry, once you see half a dozen or more movies about a certain racial or ethnic group, you should have a more balanced picture than we have about some.
You know, the complaint has long been that unless a critical part in a plot, in a story, really requires that someone have a certain ethnic or racial background, there's no particular reason why that character can't be any number of people.
One of the problems
any number of backgrounds
that Asians had, Charlie Chan was a role that upset a lot of Asians, but there was a positive side to Charlie Chan because he at least was able, however stereotyped he was, to outwit a lot of dull-witted Caucasians in solving crimes. A more positive role model, the first one on television, was the, I don't remember the name of the character, but it was the character that David Carradine played in Kung Fu. That was a positive, I guess we could say, role model. But who were they played by? They were played by Caucasians with tape on their eyes. So the Asians couldn't win. They couldn't win.
What about Taipan? You were cast in Taipan. Now there's a situation where you're dealing with an historical perspective where perhaps the person, the character, she was different certainly than the Asian woman of today.
Very.
Yeah, so you had no trouble with accepting that kind of historical perspective as an actress?
As an actress, no, I had no problem playing it because it's a character and it's 100 years ago and Chinese woman was in a secondary position. But again, like you said, it's the view of the whole industry. I mean, they view Chinese women as submissive and the helpless, and you know, most characters are like that. So as a whole industry, I really think we should change.
Yeah. Have you ever gone up for a part that was not an Asian role per se?
Yes, actually.
And what's been their response?
No, I will be playing one next week, which was not written for an Asian. It was written for a Caucasian, and they are accepting me to playing it, which I think things are getting better.
That's rare. That's
rare.
rare.
That's
Any
very
other
rare.
examples of positive situations?
I think we can quickly give three today. The two, I guess it's two, there have been Karate Kid movies. Pat Morita as the martial arts master. That is a role that could easily lend itself to some negative stereotyping, but I think most people would agree that he rose above some of the annoying, say, Charlie Chan type mannerisms in portraying that role. Now, Empire of the Sun is a movie that is not strictly speaking about Asians, but it takes place in an Asian prison camp. And what I think is interesting about it is that although obviously the Japanese are portrayed as enemies, they were our enemies in World War II after all, and that's when it takes place, they're not portrayed in that almost comical, snarling, menacing manner. They're portrayed, it seems to me, simply as wartime enemies. And of course, Joan's movie, The Last Emperor, is such an achievement artistically and culturally, because here you have a period of time unknown to most Americans, so we don't have that easy identification. The hero of the movie and the heroine are Asians, and yet we are so drawn into their story because they are such not likable, but such real people that it doesn't matter to us that they're Asians. They are not portrayed in a way that makes us feel there is negative stereotyping.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Nice to have you back with us.
You bet, Gary.
Interesting piece. When we return, we're going to find out a little bit more about Joan's personal struggle and professional struggle to act in America.
To the future, Mrs. Miller, may I present our laundry room?
Where we'll get out your ring around the collar.
Are you kidding me? Rings me?
Mr. Miller, come with me. You need whisk.
Come on, honey, they're all the same.
Tough stains like this need whisk.
Really?
Powders just won't do it. Well?
No more ring. And everything looks great. Like my new wife.
Oh, like my new husband.
And a new laundry room.
Where you'll be doing lots of laundry.
Can you really see me doing laundry?
Yeah.
Whisk for ring around the collar and a cleaner wash.
At Jordan's Auto Mall, we love to sell cars and trucks, but we hate to pay taxes. So Jordan's having a sale that breaks my heart. Our prices just can't go any lower than this. The time is now to let Jordan's put you behind the wheel of a new Ford car or truck. Go ahead, break my heart.
Great deals for all, yeah, Jordan's.
Now, Estee Lauder Laboratories takes skin care as far as our modern technology can go. Introducing Future Perfect Micro-Targeted Skin Gel. This microsome formula gives your skin the luminosity of younger skin. Digitized image analysis developed for the space program shows the actual improvement in the appearance of lines, wrinkles, and smoothness. Try it and feel the future working for you. Now at all Air stores.
It's cold outside, but the store-wide savings are red hot inside during the spectacular hot price sale at Value City Furniture. This beautiful $600 Kraler pub-back sofa is now $298.
Hot prices!
This 5-piece $400 dinette is only $198.
Hot prices!
Open stock bedrooms starting only $69 each piece.
It's hot!
$2,500 instant credit, no money down, no payment till May 88.
It's hot!
Register to win a free trip to Hawaii.
It's hot!
It's the hottest furniture prices of the season. The hot price sale at Value City Furniture.
While growing up in China at the age of 17, she played a young girl in the movie Little Flower. Years later, the image of the pure, innocent girl was shed when she starred in the Dino De Laurentiis epic Taipan. And currently, you can see her extraordinary performance as the Empress in The Last Emperor.
You know what it means to be an empress. You are an empress.
Why do you not make love to me anymore?
Because you have become an opium addict. Opium killed my mother. Opium destroyed China.
You can buy opium anywhere in Manchukuo.
Shut up.
In any shop.
Shut up.
Your brother is going to have a child. We must have a child. We must have it here.
Emperor Hirohito has officially invited us to Japan. I'm going alone. You are staying here.
I would never go to Japan.
Then go to your room.
Once again, Miss Joan Chan. And when you were growing up in China, what were you taught about the imperial age in China, about the emperors and empresses and all the things that happened during the feudal times?
Very little. We were not supposed to know too much about them. We wanted to build a new China. You know, we wanted to not talk about the history when I was growing up. But right now, people are getting more interested in history right now.
So how do you prepare for someone like Empress? What was it, Wan Yung?
Yeah. I started to go dig in the library, you know, books that nobody really read. You know, it was just there. Mm-hmm. And started reading a lot of it. I was getting very interested, and I found a lot of her writings. You know, she was a beautiful writer. And just read a lot of things.
What are the major differences between being a film star in China? And I assume Shanghai is the capital of the film industry over there?
Sort
Pretty
of,
much so, yeah. What's the big difference between Shanghai, say, and Hollywood? I mean, how are you treated, and do they have the same kind of nutsy activity that goes on here.
No, it's so different. It's totally different. I mean, when I went to the acting school, I was like 14, and we were taught to serve the people. I mean, you are serving the people, you know. In here, it's like you make great bucks. But over there, my first movie, I starred in the movie, and I made $18 a month, you know.
$18 a month? But
Yeah.
that's pretty good, though, I suppose. For
Yeah,
China.
that's enough. I mean, that's enough for somebody to live. It's just like any worker, you know, anybody, a young worker, you know. There was no difference between a star and a worker. But people love you. You know,
People
they see
respond
you.
to you, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're taken care of. But, you know, I never thought about money when I was in China. I never thought about it.
Yeah, was it difficult to get started here
Very.
for you?
Very. Very, very
What was the
difficult.
biggest obstacle you had to overcome? I mean, aside from what we discussed earlier with Eric, as far as the limited roles.
One thing I never had growing up and before I came here was rejection. And we, in China, we took time to know people. And in here, you just have to flash. And you go there and you say, hi, and, you know, and the first impression, I never learned that, you know. I go into a place and I was modest and everything, and it was just not the right way. I never knew, I didn't know. You know, I didn't have a picture like 8 by 10, and I said, I'm standing right in front of you looking at me, so why do you have to have a picture? I just didn't understand the whole system, no.
Yeah, now you have two residences. This is your working residence, and I know you have a place to live here in America, but you primarily reside still in Shanghai with your husband.
Yes, I spend half of my time in Shanghai and half of my time here.
Yeah, now, is he in the film business?
Sort of, yes.
Yeah. How do they react to you? Because they're used to seeing you as this sort of innocent young girl falling in love over and over again in the pictures. Now you've sort of been westernized, or at least immortalized on film, and going back, does that cause any, I mean, do they know what to think of you?
Scandals.
Really?
Yes, on the papers. I mean, they don't know what to think of me. I mean, they think that I've done something that nobody in China has done. I mean, coming into Hollywood and trying to do movies. So they thought that was special, but then they hated my image in Taipan, and they thought, you know, God, you know, being a mistress, especially for a white man, you know.
It still exists, doesn't it?
They hated me. They hated me for that. But, you know, things are changing right now. They're changing, and now the newspaper started to write about me and, you know, think that I have done something that nobody did.
Lots of doors are opening up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our guest, Joan Chan, the movie The Last Emperor, a spectacular movie. Joan, it's so nice to have you with us today as our Woman of the Hour. Coming up next, we're going to meet a woman whose life was changed by watching one of our shows.
With my eyes closed, I can't tell you which row of cotton socks were washed in which fabric softener. But with my eyes open, I can see these whites are whiter. These colors are brighter. It could only be Final Touch.
Whiter, brighter softness. Only Final Touch fabric softener.
Definitely Final Touch.
When you trust your Hooks Pharmacist in Green to fill your prescription, you get more than just medication.
And remember, Mrs. Rogers, these may make you drowsy, so don't drive after taking them.
The professional advice of your Hooks Pharmacist in Green is a very important part of your prescription.
Now remember, it's important to take the antibiotics until they're all gone.
When you have a healthcare question, ask us. We're here to help. Because at Hooks, we like to see you smile.
Hey, Georgie, baby, congrats! Highland's going all out to celebrate your birthday.
Well, it's only for a few days.
Georgie, people are saving big at Highland just because of you. That's a great gig, sweetheart.
Now through Monday, save on this 19-inch color TV with automatic fine-tuning, just $157 during Highland's George Washington's birthday sale.
Hope to see you there, Ben. After all, a penny saved is a penny earned.
And he who hesitates is lost.
And a stitch in time saves 9.
And never eat spinach with a stranger.
Dr. Tavel's Premium Optical is having a spectacle spectacular. You can wear the latest styles at below wholesale cost, but you have to act now. Imagine designer frames from Joan Collins, Diane von Furstenberg, Tura, Fabergé, and more. From $9.95 to $39.95. These styles regularly cost over $150. All styles are available in a rainbow of colors, and you'll get 25% off our low lens price with your frame purchase. At Dr. Tavel's Premium Optical, we've taken the high cost out of high fashion.
Now, if the book takes off, if it sells, maybe it's a big seller, what can that author earn?
Well, in the series, if the book finishes out the sales well, then the royalties could come in at around $30,000, something like that. That's for series books, the ones that are really popular now. And around 10 is the top. So that's what goes to the writers who have pretty good track record, pretty good sales record. But even writers just coming in, say if it was your first book, if it was really good, you could get $5,000 or $6,000 advance on it.
Now, almost 5 years ago to the day, my next guest was watching that show, and she was folding diapers. And some 5 years later, she has finally had time to write us a letter. Let me just quote part of it. Then one of the guests I listened to on your show, I cannot remember her name, was the author of a contemporary romance novel. I can't remember the name, but that interview changed my life. Well, 5 years later and 5 books later, please welcome Brene Garrett from Spokane, Washington. That part of that week was that particular guest that we had on, but that was a whole week about romance writers, and a couple of them had started out much like you had started out. And let's talk about what was going on in your life at the time you watched that show in '83.
Well, at the time, I had 3 little boys. The oldest was 5. I was a full-time homemaker, and I wanted to stay a full-time, stay-at-home mother. But I was running into the reality of that it takes 2 incomes now to support a family. And it really surprised. I'd always wanted to be a writer, but I had never thought of it as something that you could do and actually make a viable income. It was more crusty old men in lofts in New York, pounding out on typewriters and starving. And so it was really the first time that I thought, hey, this is something that I could try.
Yeah, now, Joan, have you ever been interested in writing?
Always, all my life. I wanted to write.
Have you ever written anything?
I've written 2 short little stories. It was published because I was cute.
Okay. All right. Well, the dreams about being a writer, many, many people share, but the reality of writing is something that few actually achieve. Now, writing up until that point had been what? Writing letters to friends, or had you actually sat down and done some writing, serious writing?
Not serious writing. I had done some genealogy work and had researched the history and wrote what I called Garrett's probable histories about ancestors and silly little housewife poems, things like that.
Right, well, how do you pursue the dream? I mean, you watch a show, and somewhere, not only did the $5,000 or $6,000 advance in the possible success, but there is a whole set of mechanics that go along with writing. How do you start?
The first thing I did is I researched the history at the time that I wanted to write, because I write historical romances as opposed to contemporary. And then checked out every book in the library on how to write a novel that I could get my hands on. The grammar, that sort of thing, has always just been natural with me. I've always been able to do that, so I really didn't have spelling I had to brush off on. I had found that all those years of being a mom, I'd forgotten how to spell.
I mean, there is enough in these books, the how-to books, in terms of structure and the plot line and carrying it forward and so on.
It's more mechanics. It gives you a real good overview of mechanics. The creative end is really, you're on your own.
All right. What about when you sit down and start to write, and that feeling that most of us have who have written something, gosh, I don't know if I want to show somebody this. Also, the minute you write something, you sit there and you study it, and you say, oh, that's not right, you erase it. So many of us do that, and we never get out of our way. How do you overcome that?
I didn't tell anyone that I was writing a book until I'd sold it. Not my parents know, my husband knew.
I know he was
my
very
kids.
supportive. Yeah,
he
you
was
mentioned that in the
extremely
letter.
supportive. But until I could call people up and say I've sold it, I didn't let anyone know. So I didn't have to worry about failing publicly anyway, and the editors didn't know me. And so it doesn't hurt to be rejected by the mail by, in a stranger.
All right, now you've got another book coming out, so that makes a total of 5 books. But on the first book, how much time did you spend on that? And did you do, as I just described, erase it, go back, rewrite it, or did you just push ahead until you got something in a block form and then go back and redo it?
I write it, or like to write from start to finish, and then I go back and I polish and I rewrite and rewrite and rewrite over and over. I read the entire manuscript into a tape recorder and listen to it to hear how it sounds, the words, how they flow. My husband reads it out loud to me, so I can listen to it again. So it's a real long process. Once you have the story, that's the easy part, getting the basic story on paper. It's the polishing so that you catch all the little mistakes.
And then you put it in an envelope and you send it. Who'd you send your first book to?
To Avon.
To Avon. You just picked their address out of the phone book, or did you found the address off of? I think they encourage people sending in manuscripts, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Avon does. And were you surprised when it was accepted?
I was absolutely shocked. In fact, when I got the phone call, it was right after my daughter was born, like 3 weeks, and I was taking a nap, and after I hung up, I went and I looked at the number I'd written down because I knew I didn't know New York's area code, and it was the right area code, so I said, I haven't gone crazy. They really did buy this.
You have no idea how good this makes us feel to have this happen for someone like you and others as well. What can you offer someone out there who may be folding diapers right now and would like to add to the income and has always wanted to write? I don't know many people who have not always wanted to write, but they've just had stumbling blocks. What would you say to them? I would say to follow your dreams. There was no reason, logical reasons that everything should have turned out so well for me. I mean, I'm not some extraordinary person. And I think there's so many people, whether it's writing or any other field, that talk themselves out of trying, and if they tried, they would find out that they would succeed. And I guess Renee Garrett did follow that dream, and we're so happy you did. We'll be right back.
Wesley is a kidnapped victim, and the crew is helpless to save him on an all-new episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Star Trek at a special day and time this Thursday night at 10 on WSJV.
Go, coming at you. Got it. Oh, what a play. Give up? Looks like your shirt did.
You got it smell.
Ooh. Introducing Surf, the new liquid detergent that gets out not just dirt and stains, but odors, too.
Heads up. Hey, looks like you never hit the dirt.
Yeah. Smells like you weren't even playing.
Was he?
New Surf removes both the dirt and the odors.
More and more Toyota owners are discovering the professionals at Jordan Toyota provide the very best Toyota service in Michiana. At Jordan Toyota, we've got more for you. Specially trained Toyota service people and the largest possible inventory of Toyota parts. Right now, for the low price of $69.95, you've got a complete major tune-up. This low price includes oil and filters. Compare anywhere. 6-cylinder, slightly higher. Whatever it takes, Jordan Toyota, Jefferson and Cedar, Mishawaka. We want to be your Toyota service company.
New Vision would like you to take the following optical test. First, cover your right eye and focus on the object. Next, cover your left eye and concentrate. Now, put both hands down and hold on to your chair. Because right now at New Vision, a pair and a spare of clear plastic single vision eyeglasses are just $79.95. And 2 pairs of daily wear contacts are just $79.95 at New Vision. There. This concludes your test. Call today and schedule your next appointment at New Vision.
To keep your shredded cheese fresh, you can stick to the old ways. Or you can try the new Zip Pack resealable bag from Sargento.
Just how fresh is the cheese in Little Caesars pizzas? Does that answer your question?
The dependable Maytag washer and dryer you've always wanted. Choose side by side or stacked upright. Same size, same long-lasting Maytag dependability.
AIDS is not spread by casual contact in schools, at parties, in swimming pools, stores, or the workplace. Learn the facts about AIDS so you can protect yourselves and your families. No one is safe from AIDS. It's our problem.
For the past couple of years, we've been presenting spots on AIDS and telling you just how important it is for everyone to practice safer sex. But there's been other information as well. For example, recently this report appeared in Cosmo magazine. A doctor tells you why you may not be at risk. I believe that there is almost no danger of contracting AIDS through ordinary sexual intercourse. A conclusion I have reached from my own studies. He backs this up with additional comments from other physicians. And here to react to this new bit of information is Kathleen Christian, a nurse at the Health Center at California Technical University in Pomona. How are your students reacting to this kind of article, Kathleen?
The student that gave me the article, because I haven't read Cosmopolitan in many a year, was floored. And he gave it to me saying, what do you think of this? Can it be transmitted or not through heterosexual sex? And I said, well, the fact is that it is not being transmitted as much as people thought that it was, but there are documented cases where it is being transmitted. And the overall message really is the one of confusion. This student was very confused by it. My son's girlfriend had read it, and she was very confused about it, and she wanted to know, what am I supposed to think when someone says that it's okay?
This obviously has caused a stir, and Joan and I were discussing it. Let's go on and examine this article, because it does say a few qualifying things in here. The author, Dr. Robert Gould, MD, goes on to say, if he says there's no reason, or he does not believe that you can contract AIDS through ordinary means, ordinary sexual contact, if the penetration is not rough, if you assume that you know the history well enough of the partner, if the genitals are healthy, if this, if that, if there are no infections. I think the point is, and wouldn't you agree, that how much do we really know about that other person, excluding, of course, people who've been involved in long monogamous affairs, or marriages, for that matter.
I was talking to a physician that I worked with yesterday, and we came to the conclusion that if you had sex in the gynecologist's office, probably be safe. Yeah, because that way they'll know they don't have a lesion, they don't have an infection, and otherwise we don't know, and that's what the students were saying. How do you know that you don't have some kind of a sore? Women can't tell, sometimes men can't tell. Now, how do you know? How do you know at the time that you're having sex and everything seems okay, and then in the middle of that you say, whoops, it's probably not okay, and then it's too late?
Yes. Would you tell me, if you can, what other things you feel the media can do to help sort of diffuse this confusion that's out there?
I think what the media probably can do is hit it really often. Not sensationalize certain individuals that have had doing behavior that everyone finds deplorable. They've chosen maybe a male prostitute that has AIDS, you know, that kind of thing is not well served to the public. But asking regular folks how they perceive it, maybe parents who've had a son or daughter with AIDS and their reaction to it, diffusing people's tremendous fear that just being in close contact with someone with AIDS will give it to them. Because people lump it in with the plague of the 13th century and polio and all the rest of it.
Well,
and until you get to that, until you really address homophobia, primarily.
Well, we have addressed that, and we will continue to address AIDS with our weekly AIDS update. What I still walk away from, and I don't know about you, Joan, is that we cannot be too safe as far as this is concerned. We still don't know enough about it.
I know. It's you know, you don't know. I just don't, it's like I don't have enough information. I read a lot about it. I still don't have enough. So I go to gym. I was sitting on the sauna. I was thinking, is it safe to sit on here? You know, you don't know who else sat here, you know.
Well,
and
that's the kind of misunderstanding
Yeah.
and the phobias that are developing out there. And we have said it over and over again, and other people have said it over and over, yet it's obviously not getting to the people.
It's just such a very fragile virus. It's very, very hard to transmit it to someone else. You cannot get it in the spa or swimming pool, on a toilet seat.
Not in a jacuzzi.
Not in a jacuzzi, It's much too hot for it.
And I think if people are going to look at this article and accept it and then base their behavior on it, they are indeed taking a risk. Would you agree?
Very dangerous, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Kathleen, for being with us. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Kurt Russell, and coming up next, I'll talk about my new movie, The Winter People.
Today's market, with all the various pricing on TV, it's very confusing. And I think it's important that people shop. But put Walkerton on your shopping list. We're so confident we can show you values that are better than anything you're seeing on TV right now. Drive to Walkerton, spend some time with our salesman, and have dinner on us. We got a lovely restaurant down here at G's Dockside Restaurant on Kuntz Lake, and have dinner for two. That's whether you like us or whether you like our price or don't like our price.
LS Ayres & Company makes carpet and upholstery cleaning easier than ever before with the amazing new Power Steamer by Bissell. The Power Steamer lets you deep clean your carpets and upholstery rent-free anytime you like. The Power Steamer shoots warm cleaning solution, while powerful suction pulls the liquid and dirt back out. Gets carpeting deep down clean, yet fast pickup action won't soak carpet or upholstery. Don't rent. Own your own Bissell Power Steamer and get the deep cleaning results you'd expect from a professional. Take home your Power Steamer today. $179.99 at LS Ayres & Company.
What do the big three coaches pick for refreshment?
I pick Coca-Cola Classic.
I pick Sprite.
I pick Diet Coke. You can pick any of the three when you enter the Caribbean Cruise Sweepstakes.
You could win a fantastic Norwegian Cruise Line cruise, and if you pick the team with the most wins this season, you could also win $500 cash.
Look for entry forms and be sure to buy Coca-Cola Classic, Diet Coke, or Sprite.
Shopping isn't complete until you do.
Jenny, your pancakes are ready.
I didn't know you made pancakes, Mrs. Butterworth.
I made them from my very own mix.
I can't wait. But I forgot a fork. Hi, I'm Mrs. Butterworth. My two syrups are delicious.
Because they're both made with grade A butter.
She really talks.
And they pour on very thick and rich.
Mrs. Butterworth's, regular and light.
My next guest and I go back a long time. I worked with his dad, Bing, in a show called Iron Horse in 1966. Then I had a chance to work with this young man in the Police Story episode. We've all watched him grow up and succeed in becoming one of the most sought-after actors in the business. When he first started acting, Kurt Russell thought of it as a part-time job, a way of picking up a little extra money. Since then, we've seen him in a variety of Disney films, The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, and The Barefoot Executive, to name a few. But it was his acclaimed portrayal of Elvis which brought him serious attention as an actor. In the past 6 years, Kurt has starred in Escape from New York, Silkwood, Big Trouble in Little China, and Swing Shift, in which he co-starred with Goldie Hawn, the new love of his life. Kurt is back alongside Goldie in their most recent release, Overboard.
You haven't got a single thing on this earth to do except for your hair. Yeah, your closet was fine. You just needed something to take up your useless, empty, nail polishing, toe polishing, rich bitch sun tanning days.
Okay, let's go.
Don't touch me. What? Hey, lady, I may be hard up, but I am definitely not that hard up, and I'm not going anywhere. And
209, take 7.
Speed. Recently, we visited Kurt on the set of his new film, The Winter People, in which he stars with Kelly McGillis. Kurt plays a clockmaker stranded in the remote southern Appalachian Mountains. I asked Kurt to describe this film.
It's, I don't know, it's a sort of, I've always felt a small story about some interesting people. It develops into a love story between myself and Kelly. I'm a guy who is from a more urban situation in 1934, the Depression and whatnot, and find myself in the backwoods falling in love with a backwoods type girl, and therein lies the greatness of Winter People.
Yeah. Is there a little bit of Hatfield and McCoys and Montagues and Capulets in it?
A little bit of that because in those days a lot of that was still going on, and that's sort of a backdrop for the love affair.
Yeah. Your dad, Bing, was an actor. He was on Bonanza for, what, a number of years, 12, 15, 14 years.
What was the show you guys did together?
Iron Horse.
Iron Horse.
That your dad, Bing, and I did together, and we almost had a somewhat catastrophic accident. I picked up one of those Western pistols and had the draw on him.
That was a big story around our house.
Holy smokes! And the pistol went off and almost put your dad's eye on it.
That became a lesson for me later on. My dad
it certainly became a lesson for me. You started acting when you were about 9, I believe, and you had a wonderful career at Disney. Went on to do a number of terrific pictures. Silkwood, Overboard, your most recent one. What was the turning point for you? Was Elvis the turning point for you from going from almost an adolescent to an adult?
I was lucky in that I had Disney's to go to. I think, in those years when I was going from being an adolescent to an adult. But I think the changing point in my career in terms of motion pictures came when I did Elvis.
Yeah. You worked swing shift and overboard with Goldie. And I don't know, have you ever worked before with anyone that you were that intimate with?
I've never been closer to anybody than I'm closer to Goldie. But I worked with Cecil Hubley on Elvis, who I married a couple of months after we finished Elvis. So that was a situation that was apparently similar and turned out quite dissimilar.
How old is the baby, Wyatt?
He's 18 months old now.
Yeah. What does he think of the winters in Colorado?
He likes it. He's spent more time in Colorado than anywhere else, and I hope that he's able to do that in the future, too. I think it's a great spot to bring up kids, and he seems to have a great time there on the ranch.
Yeah, you've been up there how long now?
Well, I moved there in, let's see, 76. It was either, shortly after I think you and I worked together on that police story. And I've lived there off and on, and in the last 4 years, Goldie and the kids and I have been there almost close to half the time, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to
be there all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference being up there? The different lifestyle, different people?
It's it's entirely different in that there's more of the things that I like to do, and now more of the things I think that the kids and Goldie like to do too, and that horses during the summer whenever you want, and water sports, and in the winter you've got skiing and tobogganing and just all that snow stuff going on. Easy, that's Aspen I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
well, you don't live in Aspen, do you? You live outside of there, don't you?
About a half hour outside of Aspen. But it's just more to do there in terms of outdoor activities, and I also I think that the people who have chosen to live there are a real interesting mix, and we've got some wonderful friends there, so I love being there as much as possible.
The Winter People is slated for release later this year. Coming up next hour, magazine, how to adjust to life after your spouse has survived a heart attack.
Should your name be on this envelope? It should be if you or someone you love is age 50 to 80, and it will be addressed to you if you call now for the important information in this envelope. Free information that tells you how easy it is to get valuable life insurance protection with a whole life policy that's designed especially for men and women age 50 and over. If you meet that age requirement, you are guaranteed this protection because there is no physical examination and no medical questions. You cannot be turned down, regardless of your health. Your premium will be $6.95 a month and will never increase. And as you grow older, your benefits will never decrease. Some other policies designed for mature people actually reduce your benefits as you grow older. You may continue to pay their same premium, but they give you less and less coverage. So don't be fooled. Be careful. Go ahead and compare Colonial Penn with other companies. So get ready to make that important telephone call right now. If you call now, Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company will send you the important information in this envelope. And it's free. So if you are age 50 to 80, shouldn't you join the millions of people who have already called for this offer? Shouldn't you call now? Here's the number.
Call 1-800-648-5322 for free information in the mail about this valuable life insurance. The information is free and the call is free. So call now, 1-800-648-5322. 1-800-648-5322. That's 1-800-648-5322.
That statistic certainly is encouraging. However, here's one that may shock you. There are 3 heart attacks every minute in the United States. I mean, can you imagine what it must feel like to have your husband or wife turn to you and say, I think I'm having a heart attack? Now, after the initial shock, how do you learn how to cope with the changes in your lives after he or she survives the attack? Levon Garcia and Road 11 from Minneapolis, Minnesota are 2 women who know what that feels like. And Rhoda's just completed a book called Heartmates, A Survival Guide for the Cardiac Spouse. Rhoda, in a sense, you being a clinician, you were, what, social worker?
Social worker.
I wonder if you did not feel in some way that you should have been prepared for this.
Exactly.
And yet didn't feel prepared. What happened in your case?
What happened in my case was we were watching Monday Night Football. My husband turned to me, Gary, and said, "Don't get too scared, but I think I'm having a heart attack." And my life stopped. It was a moment that I will remember forever. I didn't feel prepared. I didn't know what to do. I felt totally powerless, and it was the end of an old life and the beginning of a new.
Now, after he said, "I think I'm having a heart attack," what happened? Did you call the paramedics and...
Called 911, and he was indeed having a heart attack, followed him to the hospital, and it began a whole new era of our lives.
All right.
Turned everything upside down.
And in your case, Levon, you were, your husband rather young, 51, I think?
51, right. I was 37, and I had 2 young children, 4 and 6 years old. It happened in the daytime, and I came home from a shopping trip with the girls and found my husband walking toward me, clutching his chest. And I knew I'm a nurse, and I have worked with a lot of heart patients, and I knew immediately what was happening. And like Rhoda, it was a day that changed our lives, too.
How are both the husbands today?
My husband plays racquetball 3 times a week and plays golf and works full-time and has had bypass surgery. We just celebrated his 4th anniversary from surgery.
My husband's doing very well. He is jogging, walking a lot, works full-time. We like to ski and enjoy a normal life.
But this does not come easily. It comes only after time and certainly a major adjustment in your life. I'd like to talk about that. First of all, the perception that people have of families that survive heart attacks is completely different than those perceptions of someone who loses someone. And yet there is a loss.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about that loss?
Sure. The biggest loss, I think, is the loss of the hopes and dreams of a future and of normality and of feeling like you're in charge of your own destiny and your family's destiny. And part of the change is finding out that we're vulnerable and we're not invincible, and that we live constantly with the fear of another attack, with the fear of loss, and everything's different.
Now, you mentioned your children and you coming home from shopping and your husband is coming towards you. That must be very scary for the kids.
It was very traumatic for them. They had nightmares for many, many months afterward, and were, of course, concerned that Dad was going to die. And we talked about it, and with Rhoda's group, Heartmates, she helped me to deal with their fears and my own fears.
What about your own fears vis-a-vis, I mean, being in charge of everything? And, of course, excluding your husband from anything that might be stress-causing, and you really having to carry the burden, and I suppose not having a moment for yourself to make some kind of adjustment to this new phase in your life.
Yes.
I mean, you have to handle everything, don't you?
Well, you do handle everything, and on my account, I felt very misunderstood, like everyone thought I was a rock and thought I was doing fine and thought I was handling everything, and I was handling everything. But I had a lot of mixed feelings, and I was angry and hurt and felt isolated and alone and very frightened. And
You're angry at your husband. How could you do this to me?
Exactly.
I mean, that's a natural
Exactly. It's very normal.
expression.
Absolutely. And they're angry, too.
Yeah.
It happened to them.
Well, Bon, how long do you have to walk on eggshells after a heart attack? I mean, how long does the family have to walk on eggshells? Is there a moment when you know you're out of the woods?
No, because you aren't. You're never out of the woods. I think you learn to get in touch with your strength. And with friends, you develop relationships where you become stronger just with time. And like Rhoda says, you become closer to your heartmate. And you enjoy the day. My husband enjoys the children much more, I think, today. He spends a lot of time with them, takes a more active part in parenting. We enjoy our free time every day.
Who fills the void, even though it's not a physical void, but who fills that void of someone to talk to about the day-to-day problems that are going on in your lives? Do you find someone, a friend, and it becomes a rather intensive relationship? It almost supplants the husband in that respect?
Well, I don't know that it supplants the husband, but I think what does happen is people are so isolated as cardiac spouses that they do need to reach out. And when I reached out, there didn't seem to be anyone to support me. And that is essentially why I wrote the book, so that people wouldn't have to be so alone. They would be able to at least open a book and say, oh, this has happened to somebody else, or this person felt like I felt, and that sort of thing. So there's a connection and sort of a step out of isolation. I think that a lot of people seek help, professional help, because they don't have the kind of understanding with friends and family. People get tired of hearing your troubles, and you feel like, well, I've told them how I feel, and they think I should be recovered, and they think I should be back to normal, and so I get more reticent about telling them. So I think there's a real difficulty with finding someone that can support you over time. And ultimately, I think communication needs to open between the heartmates, between the patient and spouse, so that they can rebuild that relationship.
And you do discuss the relationship, both the physical,
Yes.
the loss of the physical,
Yes.
the emotional support, and how that grows
Right.
post-attack.
Yes.
The group is called Heartmates. What are you telling people out there?
What I'm telling people in the Heartmates group is that what they experience is normal. It's okay to feel angry, to feel resentful, to feel sad, because something very important and very life-changing has happened. And I tell them to reach out and to talk to people and to share.
We're certainly happy you were here talking with us today and sharing with us. The group is Heartmates. It's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and of course you can find their location and phone number through the directory. The book, Heartmates, a survival guide for the cardiac spouse, and with the statistics that we mentioned at the top of the segment, it might not be a bad idea to get a copy. Thank you both for being with us. We'll be right back.
You're about to witness a crime. The hook, the lift, the choplifter. He's desperate for those meaty tender chops that look like real meat chops. Don't let your dog become a choplifter. Buy him tender chops.
New Hamburger Helper Deluxe Chili versus homemade chili.
Hello, dear.
New Hamburger Helper Chili starts with your ground beef. So does homemade. Hamburger Helper Chili has hearty beans, authentic spices, and big chunks of peppers, celery, and onions, like homemade.
Won't be long now, dear.
The judges, please. First, Hamburger Helper Deluxe Chili. And the homemade chili?
Just a few more minutes.
New Hamburger Helper Chili. The shortcut to homemade.
Almost ready.
Magic plumbing. Now you see the clog. Now you don't.
For clogs at their worst.
Oh, it's for you.
Liquid Plumber is the plumber to call first. No other drain opener cuts through standing water to clear out tough hair clogs. Better than Liquid Plumber.
Magic plumber.
For hair clogs at their worst.
A liquid plumber? He, disappeared.
Liquid Plumber is the plumber to call first.
Introducing, for more reason to love, Stouffer's Lean Cuisine.
1,
New vegetable and pasta mornay.
2,
New baked rigatoni.
3,
Sliced turkey breast and mushroom sauce with rice pilaf.
4.
New Szechuan beef.
Now, Stouffer's good cooking comes in 28 delicious lean cuisine entrees, all under 300 calories.
Who can beat that?
Stouffer's Lean Cuisine. More satisfaction with you.
Good morning. It's time for a healthy breakfast. This time your kids will eat it. A cereal with lots of protein. Don't worry, your kids will eat it. It's Life cereal. Life is frosted on the inside, toasted on the outside. Life tastes so good. Unless they're weird, your kids will eat it.
Next week, Chinese communities all around the world will celebrate the New Year. 1988 is the year of the dragon, according to the Chinese lunar calendar, and someone who should know a little bit about Chinese culture is our woman of the hour, Joan Chan. Now, this is the dragon. Last year was the rabbit.
Yes.
And there are, what, 10 other characters in the Chinese lunar calendar?
Altogether 12.
Yeah, all right. What are you?
I'm an ox, year of the ox.
Yeah. Does something happen when, during the year of the ox, your birthday comes along? Is that important?
It's very important that when that birthday came along, I got a big movie that's Taipan. I mean, that was my first American film. You have to catch that year because that's an important year. Otherwise, you wait for another 12 years.
For another 12 years for it to come around. This is a good year for me. I'm a Taurus.
Taurus?
Yeah.
I'm a tourist.
Are you really? This 88 is supposed to be a great year for us. Well, we'll see, won't we?
Really?
Yeah. Listen, one of the things we talked about is you growing up in Shanghai. And we have some footage of Shanghai. I don't know I think the quality may be just a little bit off in the transfer, but we wanted to run it, and I wanted Joan just to comment on it because this is home. This is where you grew up.
Yes.
So let's take a look at it.
Okay. Well, they're doing Tai Chi right there. My parents, my grandparents all just do Tai Chi. I mean, you know, you don't see a lot of space in Shanghai. It's very crowded. In every little space you find in the morning, there are some people.
Everybody's out there doing this?
Yes. It's very healthy. Well, this is what I ate for 19 years for breakfast.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's made of flour.
Oh.
This is something like dumpling.
Uh-huh.
Well, it makes me hungry. It's great.
Yeah.
It tastes great. I mean, you don't see those things in Chinese restaurant here.
No, all you see is rice and sweet and sour.
Everything's sweet and sour.
I know it.
Yeah.
Now, these are just people at the open market.
Look at it.
Oh,
so
and everybody's
crowded.
on bicycles. Yeah.
It's very crowded. I mean, 200 years ago, it's like only 200 people living in that area. It was a fishing village. And right now, it's the biggest city in China. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. Chinese people really enjoy leisure time. We have a lot of leisure time, and they do Tai Chi, they drink tea for a long time.
Yeah.
And one thing I couldn't get used to is people can't have any leisure time in this country. It's
Here,
like,
you mean?
Yeah, you get nervous when you have leisure
Yeah, you
time.
start
It's
feeling
like,
guilty.
I'm not doing my career, you know, I'm not getting anywhere. I mean, it's, you know, I love it, all this leisure time. That's why I have to go back every year. It's harmony there, you know. I mean, it's excitement here and harmony there. I have both worlds. I'm really happy.
Joan Chan, our Woman of the Hour. Thanks, Joan. Thank you for sharing that with us, Joan, and thanks for being with us today. I know you're about to start a pilot with Aaron Spelling. We wish you all the luck with that. But the big news is the Oscar nominations that are coming up in about a week or so. Are you excited? What happens?
I'm excited. I'm happy.
If you get a nomination?
Even if I don't, I'm sure the movie's going to get some.
Yeah.
I'm happy for
That would be
everybody
nice
who
to
worked
take
on the
home with
show.
you,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we wish you luck. We got our fingers crossed.
Thanks.
Join us tomorrow. We're going to present a special Valentine's Day edition of Our Magazine. Remember the couple, Steve and Shannon Gardia? They're going to be here. And if you're in love, you won't want to miss something that I'm really looking forward to. Marianne Mobley, my wife, and I will mark the 20th anniversary of our wedding. She'll be my Woman of the Hour. So in the meantime, have a nice day and nice evening. Do try to make every hour count, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Where do you smell brand new Snuggle Fabric Softener liquid in sheets? It's cuddle up fresher than ever.
Shield deodorant soap. Shield protection feels so right. It keeps you fresh from day to night. You're gonna feel fresh the whole day through with Shield.
What's more manly than Manwich? Not so Sloppy Joe sauce from Hormel. It's the one that doesn't run.
Clean carpets and upholstery with the Bissell Power Steamer. The Power Steamer shoots warm cleaning solution. Powerful suction pulls out liquid and dirt. Cleans upholstery, too. Don't rent. Own your own Bissell Power Steamer.
We will now demonstrate how to work off the calories in a delicious Vlasic snack chunk.
1 calorie, 2 calories.
That's pretty good.
Try Vlasic Snack Chunks.
Slender U, the no-pain workout salon everyone tries to copy, where customers lose inches while salon owners build their own businesses. Slender U. Call this 800 number today.
What's the easiest way to top a taco with Velveeta? Try new Velveeta Shreds. Finally, easy-to-use shreds of the great Velveeta taste no other shreds can match. That's new Velveeta Shreds, original or Mexican.